Hey friends, Laravel 8.70.1 is the latest release at the time of making this video. And today we are going to take a look at the awesome things the Laravel team and community have been working on lately. So let's get to it. There are multiple quality of life features that have been added to the framework lately. Let's start with the new ability to validate one of multiple date formats. The date format validation rule allows you to make sure the given input matches a specific date format. And lately, this rule was updated so that it may accept multiple date formats separated by a comma. Now, Laravel will accept an input that matches any of those date formats. Another addition to the validation component is the new declined and declined if validation rules. These are the opposite of the accepted and accepted if validation rules. Take a look at this validation scenario. Using the declined validation rule here will ensure that Laravel will only accept the form input if the user declined having a criminal record. The accepted values for this rule are no, of, 0 in the string form, 0 in the integer form, false in the boolean form, and false in the string form. I can see myself using this in scenarios where the accepted rule would mean that I need to change the input field name here to something like don't have criminal record. So it's a convenient way to keep your input names consistent while validating such scenarios. Last addition to the validation component in this update is the new rule that makes sure the provided data has a corresponding case in an enum. And if you're not familiar with enums, this is the latest addition coming to PHP 8.1. Given an enum called status that has two cases, pending and done, you can use the new enum rule to validate the given value matches one of the cases the enum accepts. This addition is quite useful, so you don't need to repeat yourself. You define the possible values once in an enum and then use the same enum for validation. Make sure to upgrade to PHP 8.1 so you can use this new rule. And speaking of PHP 8.1, the Laravel core team has been working for the past few weeks to ensure the framework is ready to run on PHP 8.1 and that it supports the latest features coming. And a very important change was made by core team member Nuno Maduro that changes the Laravel exception handling to log deprecation notices instead of treating them like exceptions that stop the execution of your application. With this change, you can switch to PHP 8.1 and your application won't throw exceptions if the runtime throws any deprecation notices. And it also introduces a new deprecations log channel that you can use to log deprecation notices somewhere you can check later to make adjustments. By default, the deprecations channel logs to null, which means no logging is going to happen at all. But you can change that to log deprecations if you want. This is a very important addition to the framework. With this being merged, you can switch to PHP 8.1 and upgrade your application bit by bit. Another great PHP 8.1 addition is the ability to cast model attributes to and from an enum. Once you define one of the model attributes as an enum inside the casts property of the model class, Laravel will convert this attribute to the enum form after it's loaded from the database. Also, it will cast this enum to the string or integer value before storing it in the database. That way, you can compare the attribute value to the enum case directly in your code, which makes your code much more easier to read. And in addition to casting enums in Eloquent, Laravel will also cast the enums in insert, update, and select database methods. That means you can do something like this. Here we are querying the server's table to find records where the status is equal to the done enum value. Under the hood, Laravel will convert the enum case to a string or an integer before sending the query to MySQL. And you can also do the same in insert and update use cases. This makes your code much more readable. Enums is a great feature of PHP 8.1, and Laravel is ready to handle this feature right now, even before PHP 8.1 is released. You gotta love Laravel. Okay, let's take a break from the framework a bit and look into the new support of RDS proxies for MySQL 8 in Laravel Vapor. If you are not familiar with Laravel Vapor, it's the serverless deployment platform built by the Laravel team. And a few months ago, we added support for RDS proxy, which is a managed, highly available database proxy. It allows applications to share connections established with the database, which saves a lot of time and resources. Now you can use RDS proxies with your MySQL 8 databases when deploying your application via Laravel Vapor. And for existing MySQL 5.7 databases using RDS proxies, you may upgrade your database to MySQL 8.0 and then attach a new proxy to the upgraded database. And of course, this process causes no downtime. If you haven't tried Vapor yet, check vapor.laravel.com. Now let's go back to the framework and check a new feature around route model binding. Previously, when you want to scope a second model binding such that it must be a child of the previous binding, you would have to use a custom keyed implicit binding. That was how you tell Laravel to scope the second model to the first model. Now you may use the new scope bindings method to tell Laravel to scope child bindings even when a custom key is not provided. In this example, the server model must belong to the given user model in order for the route to resolve. Otherwise, a 404 response will be returned. You can also use this on a group level, and Laravel will scope bindings on all routes defined inside the group definition. Under the hood, Laravel will use the defined model relationships to do the scoping. So make sure you define your relationships first before you use the scope bindings method on your routes. Otherwise, you will receive an exception. Another quality of life addition to route definitions is the new can method. Now, Laravel ships with a middleware that can authorize actions before the incoming request even reaches your routes or controllers. Previously, you would use the can middleware inside the middleware method of a route definition. In this example, we are passing the can middleware two arguments. The first is the name of the action we wish to authorize, and the second is the route parameter we wish to pass to the policy method. Now, you may also attach the can middleware to your route using the can helper method. It's a small addition that makes configuring this middleware more convenient. One last addition to route definitions is the new without middleware method. So when assigning a middleware to a group of routes, you may occasionally need to prevent this middleware from being applied to an individual route or a group of routes within the group. That's when the new without middleware method becomes handy. Check this example. Here we are applying the ensure subscribe middleware to all routes in the group. However, we are excluding this middleware from the help route by using without middleware. That way, you can still keep the help route within the group, but keep it available for all visitors, including non-subscribers. And that's all I have for you today. Make sure to subscribe to the channel to receive updates whenever we post new content, and also make sure to check the Laravel blog at blog.laravel.com so you can follow updates on everything Laravel, including products like Forge, Envoyer, Spark, and Vapor. I will see you in the next video.